Yes, you're on.
Great. So, uh, good day once again, good morning, good evening, wherever you are, and welcome to the session which has been organized by UWI Open Campus and Whiteboard Labs. Today, we will talk about Industry 4.0, but from a perspective of understanding what it is in very layman terms and how it affects each of us. What we will cover will be our agenda essentially is going. I think there's a problem. Yeah. We will understand what is Industry 4.0, how it affects each one of us, and what is it that we need to do. Because Industry 4.0 is not a technology, it's an industrial revolution and it is an economy. So, but before we get into the details, let us understand where it came from and where we are headed. So, if you all know, uh, there have been four industrial revolutions till date. We're in the fourth now, which is Industry 4.0. So, when we say Industry 4.0, what we're actually referring to is the fourth industrial revolution. The first one, which is the which has to do with the mechanical age, was towards the end of the 18th century, and it was mostly powered by steam and water to drive mechanical production, mechanical machines, etc. The second one, which was at the beginning of the 20th century, was where the industrial revolution went into production, mass production. And later on, you'll see that the second and the fourth have a lot in common in terms of the concept. So, mass production started happening to cater to mass demand, which brought the prices down and increased the demand. So, essentially, the second revolution was, very relevant to the growth of economies across the world. And then we came to the third industrial revolution, which was somewhere in the beginning of the 20 of the 70s, wherein we moved into the digital space. So we had the advent of computers, of personal computers. The footprint of computing started coming down. Starting in 1945, a computer would house a whole building, and a more powerful computer now was housed in one room. And things came out, started progressing from there. But the most important aspect of the digital revolution or the third industrial revolution was the advent of the internet. And as we go further, we'll see why and how. And then today, we moved into what we call the fourth industrial revolution, which is based on a cyber physical system. Now, cyber physical means the marriage between the cyber part or the digital part of life and the physical part of life. So, if I say that I would like to marry my light bulb with my laptop, well, that is called the cyber physical relationship. But before we get into that, let's see how we define 4.0. And this definition is very broad. I've kept it broad for the sake of understanding. So, what is it's we 4.0 is the digital transformation of manufacturing or production and value creation processes. What that means is that manufacturing itself, which is the hub or the core of business, has undergone such a massive change in relation to digitalization and the cyber physical marriage. Second, 4.0 is used interchangeably with the fourth industrial revolution, which I've just explained to you. And the one of the critical components, what it represents is one of the critical components of 4.0, which is the value chain. Value chain essentially is back and the front of any business. Back means suppliers, front means customers. We will get into that as we go forward. And cyber physical systems actually form the basis of 4.0. So I gave you the example of a light bulb being interfaced with your laptop. Now imagine an entire factory interfaced or integrated with your laptop. And imagine that you could be sitting at your laptop and controlling production. Imagine that you could be changing designs which are being produced. All because your machine now, through a digital interface, is controlled by a laptop or by some other computer. That is the power of cyber physical. So, what is Industry 4.0? Given the background of the last slide, what I like to say and what I like to think is that, there are three main actors of Industry 4.0: people, business, and things. And in these three things, the most important are the people. People like you and me. Why people? Because business, which is being affected by Industry 4.0, is about people. We are buyers, consumers, which means that a business exists to service us. If you and I stop buying or consuming, there would be no business. Secondly, we are workers. We work in the business. We work for the business. We not only buy, we also contribute in terms of labor. And therefore, businesses need us to run those businesses. So that's the second aspect or dimension of our relationship as people with business. The third dimension, the first two dimensions are with respect to us individually. Third dimension is with respect to us as a society. And as a society, we create norms and practices within which industries and businesses have to operate. Their laws, their methodologies, their do's and don'ts. All that is created by society, which is us. So essentially, we as people are highly integrated with business. So over time, what has happened is that we have become a connected society. As a group of people, as we saw in the last slide, we are now connected because of the internet. And we've now become a connected business. We are connected as people. And now we are connecting things. The Internet of Things. So essentially, Industry 4.0 is about connections. That's one very important aspect of Industry 4.0. It is about an interconnected world. People are connected to other people. Machines are connected to people. Machines are connected to other machines. Businesses are connected to one another. A connected world, a completely, deeply connected world. And when you are connected as a society, you become a driver of change. That society becomes a driver of change. Why? Because you're now you've created connected wisdom. How? Because when people are connected and constantly in touch with each other, sorry about that, in touch with each other, they are exchanging ideas, they're exchanging knowledge. and they're creating a larger pool of wisdom. Customers are interacting with each other, creating customer pools. And this is a well-known fact. If you want to buy a phone today from Samsung, go to the user groups, you'll get a very good feedback. Purchase decisions are moving from highly personal ones to social decisions. If I want to buy, again, let me take the example of a phone. I would go on the internet and start looking at the user groups. I'd look at Apple, I'd look at Samsung, I'd look at Huawei, whatever. And I would read the feedback that current users are already giving. I would talk to my friends, get their inputs. So the decision for me of buying a phone has now moved into sort of a platform where multiple people are giving their inputs and participating in my personal decision-making cycle or process. Fourthly, peer pressure. My friend has bought a new car. I would like one too. My friend has bought a new phone. Maybe I should upgrade mine. Oh, that's all very well. That's nice. But the problem is that I want it now. Models are changed every 3 months or 4 months or 5 months. Today, what I bought will, become obsolete in 6 months. So if I want to buy, I want it now. That's called instant gratification. All these things have a bearing on 4.0 because the question is, if all these things have to happen, how are products going to be made? Everyone will be demanding something. How will I know what user groups are talking about? Where do I get my feedback? So in a sense, we as a society have actually contributed to the onset of Industry 4.0. Now, addressing that question, how will such products be actually made? They'll be made through connected people, connected businesses. And those connections will be horizontal, which means across organizations, across people, and vertical, which means within a company. Now, if you look at this diagram, which is there on your screens, you will see on the left side the horizontal value chain integration. Now, value chain basically means all the people, all the organizations which are working together towards one common purpose. And that's a very broad definition, I know, but I'm keeping it very simple for the understanding of everyone, somebody who may not be familiar, for them as well. So what do you see on the left? You have a supplier, you have the company, and you have the customer. Now all three are integrated, and that's what I meant some time back when I said the back and the front, everything is integrated. If I am a manufacturer, I am connected with my suppliers and I'm connected with my customers. How? Over the internet. I know what is being talked about in the user groups. I know people are maybe talking about some product which doesn't exist but which they'd like to have. If I do a deep data analysis of the customer groups or the network of customers, I can find out feedback of a product, and I can find out the dreams about a product as well, which helps me to design something new. I can also find out personal preferences. Now, if all of this has to be done, I need to have the flexibility to create and recreate at the back end in my manufacturing. And my manufacturing is dependent on my supplier, so he should be able to do that. And down the line. So today, if I want to have a design, a new design, I should be able to quickly design it, quickly order the parts or whatever raw material that I need, and quickly produce it, and quickly take it to market because of the instant gratification factor. So the mean time to deliver any product has come drastically down because of that. Now, if this is to be done, how do you actually do it? That's where Industry 4.0 comes in. There are technologies which can quickly help me to design 3D printers and productionize 3D printers. There are interfaces between machines and computers which help me to reprogram a manufacturing machine very quickly. It's called the Internet of Things. All this facilitates me to be able to satisfy demand, firstly identify demand and satisfy it very quickly. Yet at the same time, while I am creating sort of customized products for people, yet I have to do it on a mass scale. So therefore, I should be able to identify groups of people who want a similar thing and customize it according to a group so that I do not lose the economy of scale. At the same time, I am able to customize according to the demand or the need. This is where there's a bit of a cross connection between Industry 2.0, where mass production started happening, and today where mass customization is happening. And that mass customization is enabled by Industry 4.0. So that's one aspect of the value chain. The other aspect of the value chain is internal. Within a company, sales, product development, planning, purchasing, marketing, logistics, support, everything now not only is linked to each other, but linked outside as well. The left part shows you the outside link, the right part shows you the internal links. And together, as a connected company, as a connected organization, you're able to service the demands of the market. So in a way, in a sense, in fact, more than in a sense, Industry 4.0 is an economy, an emerging economy, because business models are changing, demand demand is changing, how you satisfy the demand is changing, business is changing, business processes are changing, everything to do with an economy is changing. And today, we are looking at a customer-driven business, not business-driven customers. Gone are the days when I could design and produce something which I think would do well in the market, bring it to market, and then start convincing customers to use it. It's the reverse now. I need to see the market, understand through the chatter on the internet or maybe other data sources, and create products according to demand. It's not vice versa anymore. And that's what customized products are all about. So therefore, we are now moving into a demand-driven production. Not that I produce and then I sell. Industry 4.0 is a recent phenomenon. But for people in the IT industry, I don't know if you know this, but back in the early 90s, Dell had a very similar business model. Dell did not produce and store. Dell was connected with its backend suppliers. A Dell customer would call in. He would say, look, I want a computer with 64 MB RAM. We used to talk about MBs in those days, not GBs, or 540 MB or whatever. He would give his configuration. The lady at the other end of the phone would be entering that into a computer. And while she was entering each part, a computer was getting designed. Because I may have taken a 540 MB, you may have wanted 1080 MB, I may have taken a 100 GB disk, you may have taken a 200 GB disk, etc. etc. I may have wanted with Intel CPU, somebody may have wanted with AMD CPU, so many thousands of different permutations, combinations. Out of those, the lady has entered one configuration, which becomes one product. And as soon as I have the purchaser has confirmed his purchase through his credit card or whatever, and she hits the return button, enter button, immediately the configuration would get deconfigured and orders would go out to the different suppliers immediately. It would go to AMD or Intel, something would go to Seagate or CDC or whatever, which cut down a lot of time. With the result that Dell could actually assemble a computer within 7 days. And you could have a custom made product, a custom made computer made according to exactly what you wanted within 7 or 8 days. I like to think, I believe in fact, that Dell actually was the precursor of Industry 4.0. Because what industry is doing today is what Dell did 30 years ago. So that's an example of a customized mass production. So what are the potential implications of this? What is needed? Robot assisted production, which means that I should be able to program the machine. Another machine should be able to supervise that machine or robot, in short. Maintenance should be predictive, because I can't afford for a machine to crash, then figure out what went wrong, then call the support guy, and then he takes like 4 or 5 hours or 4 or 5 days to get the machine up and running again. I should know if my machine is going to fail. If I know that, I can take corrective action and machine will not fail. So therefore, no downtime. No downtime means it's working, it's giving me business. It's adding to my business. Additive manufacturing of complex parts. Now that's a subject in itself. But as we get deeper into the complexity of 4.0, additive manufacturing becomes a very crucial and critical component of 4.0. Machines as a service. Today, we are all familiar with software as a service. I mean, you want to use email or you want to use XYZ application, you can rent it. You pay per month. You pay $1, you may pay $10, you may pay $0. Doesn't matter. But you're using it for the time you want to use it. You don't own it, but you're just a user. You're renting it. Big data, data analytics. I was talking about people connected on the internet, talking to each other, getting feedback, etc., contributing their ideas. All that constitutes data. Today, if I fall sick and I want to find a doctor, I'll go on Google and find it. But guess what? Google has recorded it. Everything about you and me is public today through the data that we have generated. millions and trillions of GB of data, which is going to define or predict the future business. Because if you analyze that data, you can come to know, as a business, you can come to know what are the trends, what are the demands, what are the preferences of people, down to color, whether it's clothes, whether it's electronics, anything, whether it's bread for that matter. If a lot of people start Googling how to make bread with whole wheat, guess what? Some company sees that and says, okay, here's a huge demand for bread with whole wheat. So let's start making it. Production line simulation, smart supply networks. These implications is what will affect you and me, as we will see here. These are some examples of product evolution. We've taken four: Philips, Ralph Lauren, Medtronic, and Babolat. Quickly go through this. Look at it, what Philips is doing. It has connected the light bulb to your phone. So today, if you have a smart home, let's say you finished work, you're driving home, you want your air conditioner on, you can put it on through your phone. You want a cup of tea, you want to put on your oven, you want to put on your lights, you can do all of that through your phone, because things are now, appliances are now connected over the net to your phone. Look at Medtronics, health. Your glucometers are connected. Look at consumers, Ralph Lauren. Look at sports. Every industry has a story about product evolutions in Industry 4.0. So while that was an example, let's look at the building blocks of Industry 4.0, and we've put it together here. Again, a very simple terms. I'm sure everyone understands these terms. But all this goes into 4.0, its evolution and its practice. Whether it's augmented reality or it's data analytics, simulation, and of course, one very important aspect is that when people are connected, when machines are connected, when everything is connected, you need security. So cyber security is a very critical pillar of Industry 4.0. I just called that out to make sure that everybody understands that and is sensitized to this fact that security is a very important issue, personally to people as well as to organizations. So this more or less is the ecosystem or the building blocks of Industry 4.0. And if these are the building blocks, what does it affect? The entire value chain. If you look at each of those hexagon figures there, they constitute a part of a business organization. And all this business exists to serve its customers, which is you and me. But to serve us, they need to do all of this. And each one of these boxes is impacted by Industry 4.0. So all aspects of the value chain, internal and external, back end or front end, everybody is impacted. And we'll see examples of this as we go forward. But keep this in mind. Any organization, big or small, any manufacturer, big or small, each department, each part of that organization, each person in that organization either is already impacted or going to be impacted by Industry 4.0. Example one. Today, there are more than 100,000 robots working in Amazon warehouses. Look at 2016. There were less than 45,000. In 4 years, they've added more than double. There's a company called Siemens. Look at them. They've implemented it extremely well. Today, an implant can be produced within 3 to 4 hours as compared to much earlier times, 3 to 4 months, later on 3 to 4 weeks. It's now down to hours. That's what 4.0 does. That's how it helps. Trump. They are starting to make something called social machines. How? Because the machines are interacting with each other. Just as humans say, okay, I've done this part. Now can you finish this and do the rest? Machines are now talking to each other. No duplication, no process ending and process starting. It's a smooth transition. Machine A has done ABC, moves over to B, machine B does XYZ. Very smoothly. So, the reasons that we have already talked about and the examples that we have seen make it critical for the adoption of 4.0 across the world.